Welcome back to another video, guys. This is my reaction to my Premier League predictions so far. The thing is, I wanted to be only 50 places off, and so far it's not looking good by any means. And yeah, let's just see how far I'm off with some of these, because some of these are absolute howlers, by the way. Sunderland at the bottom, which is no surprise. Their team doesn't look like a Premier League team. Yeah, the signing of Xhaka is neat, but they lost Bellingham. Please just stop talking, man. Sunderland signed so many players. They've completely changed their starting 11. They are now, well, aside from Ballard, I think he's the only one left from that promotion team. So, and it's worked out for them. A lot of moving pieces, but they figured it out how to implement the system, and now are on freaking 7th. They've got about 3, 4, or 5 Premier League players from the levels. Yeah, and Solefay was one of them, and Granit Xhaka, and Adingra, he also came in, but they also got Renildo Mandava and some more. So Sunderland was then put on 20th. Oh, good God. So this is the first one that's completely off. So I'm already 13 places off, by the way. And my grandpa and me agreed on this. So we're both 13 places off already. So that's a score of minus 13 from the first prediction. And minus 50 was the ultimate goal, which is 2.5 places off per team, which is a very good score if you actually get this one. 19th. Well, I actually think it's gonna be Burnley. And yeah, this was very easy to predict. Burnley to get relegated, actually, because think about it, it's Burnley. Man, they didn't do much in the summer transfer window either, I think. So they're actually decent. They're so far above Wolves, almost 10 points. I think 8 or 10 points, or maybe even more than 10 points above Wolves now. But Wolves, sorry, yes, is on 3 points. So Burnley was 19th. But you're gonna have to do more than just sign 2 Chelsea bench players, basically, with Ugo Chukwu and Armando Broja. Yeah, I think Broja's got 1 goal the whole season, so that was not the best buy. It's a better team than Sunderland, but still. By the way, Jadon Anthony for Sunderland, he had a red hot start. He looked like a real Premier League level player for them, a good Premier League level player. But since then, some players, like not only him, but other forwards like João Pedro had also had a red hot start to the season and then just dropped off. And yeah, Leeds is on 18th now. Staying up. No chance. Leeds United will be 18th place, and they haven't done enough in the transfer window to stay up, honestly. The signing of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, by the way, was absolutely genius. He had a series of 6 goals in 6 games where he scored 1 goal each. That was massive for them, by the way. I mean, they've got Lucas Perry from Olympique Lyon and Lucas Mecha from Wolfsburg, but still, that's not gonna be enough. But even then, compared to the other teams that are coming up, Leeds' team doesn't look good enough. Yeah, West Ham, Nottingham Forest below them right now. Tanaka, Stach, Dominic Calvert-Lewin have been very good for them, those 3 in particular. And the defense yesterday against Liverpool looked excellent. So, well, not excellent, but for their standards, excellent. Though they still got the likes of Bamford and now Mecha. And Bamford is so washed. The next thing is, even with the few signings they've made, these are all decent players, good players, but no players that can keep them up. And yeah, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, my man. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is all I have to say. So Leeds are now on 16th, so I'm 2 off, so I'm already minus 15. My grandpa also at Burnley 19th and Leeds on 18th. So we actually predicted the same 3 teams to go down, so he's also on minus 15 right now. And with Daniel Farke being the coach, you kind of get the idea of why they're gonna get. Daniel Farke, my man, I am sorry. I underestimated you. I wasn't familiar with your game, man. Relegated again. And relegation wise, me and my grandfather actually predicted the same order. They're 17th. Oh my god, bro. I don't even want to hear this. Well, the reasoning for this was because they lost Johan Wisa, they lost Brian Mbemo, they lost their captain Christian Norgard, they lost their manager Thomas Frank, and the team looked like it should be somewhere in lower mid-table, at the bottom end actually. And the thing is, Keith Andrews, the new manager, he has overperformed to the max. They are now on 9th, I think. Yeah, Brentford are now on 9th, some 8 places off already again. So that's minus 23 then, I think. Basically saying with all the transfers that have gone through. Yeah, that is all the transfer yapping. West Ham. Well, I put them too high here. They should be lower mid-table. Yeah. So West Ham on 16th, I actually overestimated them. The reasoning for 16th was I don't rate Graham Potter as a manager, but the team has enough quality to stay up by its own. Psych, it just doesn't work out for them. I don't know what it is. Is it the ownership? Is it the low confidence of the players? Because I still do think they do have enough to get up there on points with the likes of Nottingham Forest and Leeds, but it just seems like they can't for whatever reason. So I'm 2 places off again because they're 18th. I'm now at minus 25 already. Oh my god, bro. Wolves on 15th. I was way too big on Wolves. Yeah, it looked like Jürgen Strand Larsen, by the way, one of the biggest reasons why they're on 20th from the player side. Now, the ownership is cataclysmic. It's abysmal. It's very bad. They don't buy any real players for them to stay up, any household names they should have. Yeah, they've signed some decent players, but decent players are often not enough to keep you in the Premier League. So they've lost their 2 best, Ryan At-Nouri and Mateus Cunha, to Manchester City and Manchester United respectively. Because of that, Jürgen Strand Larsen, his 2 best creative players in that team that assisted him all the time, were out. And he's a shadow of his former self. Now, Wolves are, of course, on 3 points on 20th. So this is for 15th. So I'm 5 places off. So I'm already minus 30 right now. It's not looking good, boys. Bournemouth, by the way, being on 14th, they are quite close to the other places, like from anywhere in higher mid-table to even the Europa League and Champions League spots, all the way down to lower mid-table. It's very close in points tally. It's like 5 to 10 points from 6th to 17th. So not to 17th, but to 15th or something like that. So to somewhere in the European spots, to somewhere in lower mid-table, it's very close. So them putting on 14th wasn't that bad. Bournemouth actually on 15th now, so I'm just 1 place off. They convinced me that Everton must finish higher because of David Moyes. Yeah, Moisey, good coach. And yeah, Bournemouth got their complete defense ripped to shreds, by the way. Current defense is actually not that bad, but it's just very volatile, the table at this point in time in mid-season, and they're not that far off the European spots at all. So with a few wins, you'd be up there. Fulham on 13th. Yeah, I actually thought to myself that Fulham should, like, realistically be worse than that. But 13th is what I kind of thought with my heart. It's not a head prediction. It's not a logical prediction because they didn't do that much. I think they brought in Kevin, they brought in Chukwueze, and they brought in, I think, second keeper or what it was. And that's it, pretty much in the transfer window. So I thought they must be like 15th or lower, but Fulham showed enough, even getting points time after time against the bigger teams. So yeah, they should be somewhere in mid-table. 13th. Fulham are actually 11th right now, so that's 2 places off. Team is about the same. They've only signed Benjamin Lecomte from Montpellier, and that's Everton on 12. Yeah, Everton also looks like a quintessential Premier League team by the depth of the team, depth of the squad, and with Moyes a good manager as well, they should have been somewhere on higher mid-table. And with 8th place, they are actually in reach of the European spots, in very close reach of the European spots. So that's 4 points off right there. I've watched a lot of football, YouTube, Yeah, this was basically, I would have put Everton lower, but I wasn't familiar with Moyes' game whatsoever. But true, he did a good job at West Ham, winning them the Conference League, I think it was, and getting them into Europe a few times, Europa League. So then I kind of struggled here. I wanted to put Forest higher at the beginning, but I then said, fuck it. Austrian manager Oliver Glasner, so I have to put Crystal Palace actually higher. And Crystal Palace are on 10th right now, so that's the correct prediction. Forest are not on 11th, they're on 17th, so that's 6 places off. I'm already like 43 places off, by the way, we're mid-table. And I wanted to have only a difference of 50 points. So this doesn't look so good. They've only bought the likes of Dan Ndoye, who's absolutely a downgrade on Anthony Elanga. Dan Ndoye this season is an upgrade on Anthony Elanga because he plays not good in the Newcastle shirt. And they also bought Igor Jesus, who impressed with Botafogo at the Club World Cup. And he also impresses in this Premier League season. He's an absolute menace. He's actually one of those very hard-working center forwards that can run an opponent's defense ragged, just like a Richarlison, a very hard-working center forward. Mateta is another example for that. But Jesus, I think, is probably the best one at that this season. But that's not gonna be enough to maintain a European spot. I don't think so. Yeah, Forest are way off it, by the way. Yeah, the beef between Marinakis and Nuno Espirito Santo was one of the reasons, why there are so, the ownership generally is then one of the reasons why they're so low in the table. Because on quality, they look like a mid-table team that should be somewhere in there where I put them. But it's a ownership manager thing. And I don't think they should push higher than lower mid-table. So higher than 13th is probably not possible for them. They've now got Sean Dyche at the wheel, who is a similar manager in terms of defensive strategy compared to Santo, but I think he's not as good as a manager as Santo was. So this is the Crystal Palace segment right here. Great team, really. You got the likes of I'm basically glazing this team right now because Oliver Glasner is the coach. So yeah, let's just skip that one. Then I put Manchester United on 9th, right? Yeah, this still could happen, especially if Tottenham, Newcastle, and so on start to perform. And Brighton, because I put Brighton on 8th, so above Manchester United, which was kind of dumb because United's got the better team. It's just Brighton's got the better manager. In the midfield, Ugarte is the most uncomfortable footballer on the ball you can imagine. Yeah, true. Just like Garnacho is the most frustrating winger to watch in the Premier League because his end product 99% of the times is absolutely abysmal. Brighton on 8th. This still could happen. Although I do think that the likes of Manchester United, maybe Everton, maybe Newcastle and Tottenham will be above them at the end of the season. So Manchester United are now on 6th and not on 9th, so that's 3 places off. And Brighton are now on 14th, that's 6 places off. Yeah, it's just very close. That's why Brighton can easily drop down to 14th because the table is quite close because it's so open at this point of the season. You'll have to give it 2 more months probably to be so that the first 5, 6, or 7 are at least settled. And even then, it's not guaranteed that they are. So I'm now already 52 places off, and we still got 7 teams more to go. Very good football. They've got excellent scouting. Now Brighton has a pretty big squad right now, and they've added to that squad with the likes of Maxim de Kuiper and Boskagli from Eindhoven, I think. I think Boskagli doesn't play at all right now, does he? And they've got a decent team overall, which... Now it should be Lewis Dunk and Jan Paul van Hecke in the center back pairing. I didn't think they could be this good last season. Yeah, Mitoma was balling out though at some points of last season. I think they do have a problem in terms of goal scoring. Welbeck is not the youngest player anymore, of course, the main goal scorer. Brighton and Manchester United, 8th and 9th, could be interchangeable. Yeah, Manchester United could even push up higher. So let's see. Aston Villa on 7th. Some people said because Aston Villa didn't reach the Champions League spots, because they've got, in some points and some very important parts of the pitch, like striker, which is Ollie Watkins, and goalkeeper, which is Emiliano Martinez, aging players there. And they couldn't spend so much money because they didn't reach the Champions League last season. Look what they're doing now. They are so much overperforming our expectations. It's absolutely crazy. Someone even said that they should be lower mid-table. Personally, when I heard that, I didn't think so, because Unai Emery is a fantastic coach, and that's why they had to at least get European places. So 6th or 7th was quite a sensible pick at the time. Now it's probably a top 3 or top 4 or top 5 finish at the end of the season, depending on Liverpool, Chelsea, and so on are gonna finish this season. Let's see what I do have to say about Tottenham. Tottenham on 6th. They're gonna jump from 17th to 6th. Tottenham have a decent team. Yeah, this opinion, by the way, was quite controversial. 11th place jump, even over Manchester United. It's not a world-class team by any means, but they've got a good coach in Thomas Frank. They've recently bought Mohamed Kudus, and with Frank as now a coach that's actually got a good system in place, or... I will take that back, because Thomas Frank is very pragmatic, or has been very pragmatic with his system and formation throughout this season. And he wanted to just not play exciting football and get the results, and that worked for some parts of the season. It looked very likely to be a European finish by the end of the season after the first few games, but then it just crumbled. And Spurs fans actually enjoyed Ange Postecoglou's football more than Thomas Frank's football, so he just doesn't let them play that exciting football. Except for the last few games, he's actually put, I think, Gray and Bergwall in midfield. 2 more ball-playing midfielders, better ball-playing midfielders than someone like Bentancur or Paulinho, and it's gotten a bit more exciting. And they just got a draw against Brentford yesterday, which is a decent result for them. Of course, Brentford higher in the table than them. So Tottenham are now on 12th, so I'm 6 places off again. Yeah, I'm already in the 60s of places that I'm off, or high 60s. At least he should have a good system in place for this season. I think they're gonna jump up to like 8th, 7th, or even 6th. Madison 8th would have been a decent prediction. At Manchester United are actually on 7th. Xavi Simons, by the way, also massively underperforming. Maybe Madison will then get his spot back once he's fit again. Oh my god, bro. Newcastle on 5th. Compared to the other teams I just mentioned, is night and day. So 5th place for me has to be Newcastle. If they buy a decent replacement for Isak, because as it seems like... Yeah, the whole Isak saga in this summer. One like Openda maybe, which is currently... Openda is so bad this season. Way better than Leipzig. He could perform better as well. Yeah, Openda would have been a nightmare.
Still see Newcastle finishing 5th. But who knows? Maybe Crystal Palace will go to 5th.
No, bullshit. They were at one point of the season, but they won't end the season there. Newcastle are now on 13th. They should push for the top half of the table easily. So this prediction doesn't look as bad because now I'm 8 places off actually with this one. They still have the squad, especially in midfield and defense. They are very strong. Well, they're not as strong as squad as Arsenal is. Newcastle just have a goal scoring problem sometimes, and even energy management might be a problem for them because they've had some matches like the one they played against Chelsea where they had a fantastic first half and then just didn't have any gas left in the tank for the second half to even run.
But Newcastle just got a great team overall. Their back line, squad depth is quite good. Their
midfield might be still one of the best in the league.
From AC Milan, so
yeah, Malik Chow was a very good buy, even though he had that one error against João Pedro a few weeks ago. I did actually ramble about Newcastle for quite a while.
And I think it's going to be Chelsea, and that's the
Chelsea on 4th, this still could happen. Personally, do I see it? Maybe on 5th, because I think Liverpool seem to be more consistent. The Chelsea ownership, I think Blueco, or what they called, have just sacked Enzo Maresca, so I don't think they're getting a coach as good as him very soon. So they're gonna be in and around the UEFA Europa League or maybe the 5th Champions League spot. But honestly, man, this doesn't look so good for them. They are gonna be closer to the lower mid-table, to some of the lower mid-table teams than they're gonna be to the first, second, and third spot. I think this might happen. And I think they've got like the Strasbourg manager, don't even know what he's called. They appointed him now.
Easiest one probably out of the 4. Chelsea made a comeback up for me, and this is also going to be controversial. It's Manchester City.
Yeah, true, because Manchester City won 6 out of the last 8 Premier Leagues. So putting them on 3rd looked ludicrous at the start of the season, but the context was that Arsenal had the best squad depth, were defensively way more stable than Liverpool and City. So Arsenal were easily top 2, and Liverpool just spent 500 million quid. So Liverpool first, right? Well, it didn't end up like that, and it won't end up like that. Arsenal are now, I think, 4 points ahead of City, and City is second, and then Aston Villa is actually third.
The problem with Manchester City is, especially I think the left side, Ryan At-Nouri, defensively, he's might be a liability for Manchester.
They actually found a solution with Nico O'Reilly this season, he's done quite well, by the way. The right side is, I think, the more problematic side from the wingback pairing, Nunes. But their backline looked shaky sometimes and very good another time. Like the main problem, well, even Ruben Diaz had a stupid mistake this season. But their main problem is, well, Nico O'Reilly is very young. Guardiola is also not the oldest player, so I think with a bit more experience, these two might even turn up their level, and then the backline is pretty good. It's way better than Liverpool's backline, which I didn't think at the start of the season because I rated Kirk so highly.
Manchester City, they don't play with 3 at the back, but instead.
Yeah, they should have maybe done that. They could have with someone like Guardiola, Diaz, Ake. They've got enough players to play 3 back. The same, Liverpool should have done the same, by the way. And even Real Madrid, that was a hot take for me for Real Madrid to see a 3 back. Well, to be fair, it worked out for Manchester City, though they didn't even have to do that so far. So
with a back 4, and that's the problem. If Manchester City play with the back 4, Ryan At-Nouri is gonna get exposed more often than not.
plot twist, Nico O'Reilly came in. Yeah, and then I just misplaced Brighton right here. Please ignore this one.
Second is Arsenal.
I didn't even realize that I misplaced Brighton until I think cut this video.
Arsenal has got the best defense in the league and probably the best defense in the world.
And the best squad depth in the world as well at the moment.
Maybe you could talk about likes of PSG up there in that conversation. Yeah, but they are the most stable team defensively, and it really.
By the way, PSG might even have a better squad depth than Arsenal in the worldwide comparison of top teams, because their front line is so much better than Arsenal's.
It comes down to the fact how good or how will their defensive capabilities keep up with what they've shown over the last few years.
Yeah, quite good, by the way. Only 11 goals conceded thus far.
And can they score more goals? With the likes of Victor Gyökeres now coming in,
I still can't pronounce his name, by the way.
we will need a big season from him and
or a big second half of the year from Gabriel Jesus, which is more likely to happen to for Victor Gyökeres to work out, I think.
Big season from Saka as well. I think if they sign Rodrigo, maybe first place, but yeah, he's an X-Factor player, but I think Real Madrid will not be able to get rid of him.
The X-Factor player on the left-hand side was actually Leandro Trossard for them this season, so shoutouts to him. One of the best finishers, if not the best finisher, alongside Gabi Jesus and Merino at the club right now.
Which is good, because we need him. Well, they've signed Madueke, Kepa, Norgard, Subimendi, Victor, and Mosquera, which is a very, very good transfer window for.
And even Hincapie, by the way. Very, very good squad definitions, and even with Subimendi, someone who can start. Eze, by the way, he's not been that good for Arsenal this season, and yeah, they've still got a problem with the big man up front.
Arsenal Football Club. However, it's not gonna be enough. I think they're lacking some X factor, especially with the Arsenal attackers currently. You're still looking at an Arsenal team which lacks some goals up front, of course.
Yeah, and Liverpool champs. You all know the reason. 500 million pounds spent. They won it last season, though she should be even better this season. Well, plot twist. Words so far hasn't worked out. Isak hasn't worked out. The only one out of those big three names they brought in that worked out is Ekitike. Frimpong, I think, is, yeah, decent overall. If he plays like higher up the pitch, he's quite good as a right mid/right winger or even right wing back, but they should play a 3 at the back in game to maximize Frimpong's potential, and even Kirkes as a more higher left back or wing back is better, and not as defensively up and down if he plays higher up, because he doesn't get exposed as much with 3 center backs at the base. Now guys, how far am I actually off? Because Liverpool, I'm now 3 places off because they're 4th. So I have 76 places. I'm 76 places off, so 76 points difference. I wanted to have minus 50, not minus 76. So there are some major things that need to go right for the second half of the season to make this work out. So the worst ones I have wrong is Newcastle. I've put them on 5th, they're on 13th. Tottenham, I put them on 6th, they're on 12th. Brighton, I put them on 8th, they're on 14th. Nottingham Forest, I put them on 11th, they're on 17th. Well, Wolves 15th, but they're actually 20th. And Brentford, I've put them on 17th, they're actually 9th. The howler is Sunderland, which I put on 20th, and they're on 7th, so... Yeah, but for my grandpa, it actually doesn't look that good either, because he's 92 places off, so he's on minus 92. His major predictions he got wrong was, well, Brentford and Everton, he's 6 places off each. Wolves, he put on 12th, they're 20th. Aston Villa, he put on 11th, they're 3rd. Quite, yeah, that's not a good prediction whatsoever. Nottingham Forest, he put on 5th. They're on 17th, also a howler. Yeah, and the Sunderland one. Nottingham Forest, he liked them quite a lot. We've seen them quite a lot last season. And he still remembers them from the form they had when they looked like they were about to go in and take a Champions League spot. He probably thought they would get up and play like that again, get that form back on track that they had, the Champions League form. Yeah, they didn't whatsoever. They didn't. Yeah, a lot of things need to change, by the way, and I'll be doing a mid-season Premier League predictions very soon. Let's see if that's more accurate than this one. But this should be. Imagine if the mid-season Premier League prediction is actually further off. This would be an absolute howler. Even more a howler than this one right here is. Yeah, guys. Comment your thoughts down below, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.